Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know who I am, my name is Chuck. I make videos for NFL, I make videos for NBA, do a whole bunch of other stuff. All these videos, they get posted on this subreddit right here. It's called DF Sports. I make updates with all the news that comes out. You can ask me questions. It's a really, really great place to be. Definitely check that out. If that's something you're interested in, and if you ever need to get a hold of me privately, you can do so on Twitter, right here at Tori Langley 1992 or Shook Go. All right. Link to this Reddit will be in the comments, and then on this Reddit will be a link to my Discord, where I have in-depth content going over each slate, player pools for cash and tournaments, um, cores, just a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, let's get into the slate. I'm gonna make this super super quick. Otherwise, the video will be an hour long, so I'm not gonna go too in depth here. I'm just gonna go over what I like. Little first, kind of look at the slate. There's a lot of injury news stuff to keep an eye on. So we're gonna make this like a 10 to 15 minute video. I'm gonna try and cover cash really quick, and then some value plays, and then some stacks. I guess we'll try to make it pretty quick, but I show you guys my results each day, going over so you can tell if I'm winning player or not. Um, so I'll show you guys my results each and every slate so you can gauge how I'm doing as a player. This is my tournament lineup. I went with Mahomes, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff, David Montgomery, Sky Moore, Justin Watson. My big take here was to play David Montgomery over Jahmyr Gibbs in tournaments. And my biggest take was to play Watson over Khalif Raymond in tournaments, who was the popular pump play outside of Noah Gray. I faded chalk Noah Gray. I should have just played him in tournaments, but what can you do about it? I thought he was one of probably the best value play on the slate. In cash games, I obviously didn't fade Noah Gray. He was a lock. I don't know how he was only 60%. And then I played Khalif Raymond in cash, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Patrick Mahomes. So yeah, that was a little look back of my lineups for the first day. And yeah, let's get into the slate. So yeah, let's do it. Should we go position by position? Nah, we'll go over cash games. We'll go over some stacks I like, and then we'll head on out of here. Maybe go over some value plays, but we'll head on out of here pretty quickly. More in-depth stuff will be on this Reddit or my Discord. So for cash games, I think there's 5 quarterbacks that you can consider. I'm personally only really considering 3, but personally for me, I think there's 5 guys in play, that being Lamar, Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, Anthony Richardson, and Sam Howell. So I don't think it's necessary to play Sam Howell. I think there's a ton of value to do whatever you want, so I don't think it's necessary to go there. I just thought I mentioned him as in play. I think if I were to spend down on anyone, it would be Anthony Richardson. I'm projecting, like 6 to 10 rush attempts a game, which is extremely, extremely valuable, and you have him at 5,600. So, guy that can get it done on his legs, price tag of below 6K, yeah, it's broken. So if you're spending down, I think Rich is that guy. If you're spending up, personally for me, it's Lamar or Jalen Hurts. I think if you're playing high stakes cash games, I think Jalen Hurts will probably be the most popular of that bunch. But yeah, Lamar firmly in play. I think you definitely could consider Justin Herbert. Game environment, very, very good here. For running back, there's a few guys. Definitely a few guys. I think the top option, if you're going to be spending up, personally for me, would be Austin Eckler. Probably projecting, 10 to 15 carries on the ground, 4 to 6 targets through the air, which is just a tremendous role to have, especially for cash. You get that floor, you get that ceiling. Just really, really great for cash games. And then Joe Mixon at 6,800 is absolutely a joke, in my opinion. You have no Samaje Perine anymore. He's involved in the passing game. He's projected to get as much work or the most work probably on the entire slate. Just absolutely wild that he's priced at 6,800. I think he should be like, I don't know, $500 more in my opinion, just for the amount of volume that I think he gets here, especially with no P Ryan, right? So yeah, and the involvement in the passing game, it's just a little bit too cheap, in my personal opinion. Scrolling down a little bit further, I think you can definitely consider Aaron Jones for cash, but Dylan is always going to be a thing. That's just the only thorn there. Like Dylan is always the thorn in my side. But the situation in Green Bay with their injuries could lead to a little bit more passing game work for Aaron Jones. So I think he's in consideration. Going down further, I think you can definitely consider Rashad White up against Minnesota. I think you can definitely consider Mostert going up against the Chargers in a really great game environment, super high total. We know that Wilson is on IR. I believe Shane is going to be playing, but Mostert should be getting pretty much the bulk of the work there. Going down a little bit further, and I think the chalk of all chalk is going to be Jamal Williams. Obviously, no Kamara. I believe Kendre Miller is not expected to go here. So that should leave just an absolute truckload of work for Jamal Williams. I think he'll probably be the chalk of the chalk there. And I think there is one more guy that you can definitely consider for salary relief, and that is Samaje Perine, who the Denver Broncos specifically went out to get. We know Williams is never going to be that, bell cow 65% guy. So Samaje definitely going to be mixed in a ton. I think you can definitely consider him for salary relief as well. Going over to wide receiver, I think JJ, Tyreek, Chase, you definitely can't go wrong with any of these guys in a cash game setting. I think Keenan Allen you can definitely get to as well. Probably, these builds are probably going to be more stars and scrubs like, so probably my least favorite. I think I'd rather just spend up for one of these three. Personally, going down, where were we? Where was Keenan? Going down a little bit further, like I said, it's going to be more kind of like stars and scrubs. I think Olave is in play. I think Cortland Sutton, really good play at 5-2. I think I think you could even consider Juju. I probably wouldn't do it, but I think you could consider him. And then you have the punts. So Tutu Atwell, Marvin Mims, who I definitely playing cash. At least one, if not both of those guys, just allows you to do a ton with your lineup for cash games. So like those guys quite a bit. I feel like I didn't mention a lot of wide receivers. I'm trying to see if I missed anyone for you guys. Mentioned Olave, I believe. Where's Godwin? I think you can definitely get to Godwin. London, too. Already mentioned Sutton. Sutton would be my favorite of this group. Excuse me. And then, yeah, the punts, like Tutu Atwell, Marvin Mims. Tight end, for me, Mark Andrews, if I have the money, I'm going to try and play, to be honest. I expect a lot. I mean, it's Mark Andrews. Expectation of targets, 6+. I think this offense takes a pretty big step forward this year. I think Lamar is going to have a fantastic year. And then you have Higbee at 4.8 with no Cooper Kupp. So, yeah, too cheap, in my opinion. Another value here that I think looks great. So, personally, tight end for me, Andrews or Higbee. All right, that's probably going to be my player pool for cash games. For as far as stacks go and running backs, I guess we'll go over some stacks that I'm liking first. So I think the first stack that we'll just go in order, I guess, by game time, I suppose. So first one on the list is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, I think Joe Burrow is going to be a lower owned than he should be. I think people are going to flock to Hurts. I think people are going to flock to Lamar. I think people are going to flock to Richardson. I think people are going to flock to Justin Herbert. That leaves Joe Burrow kind of in a lone spot here. What is the total? In a 47.5 over-under game where I don't think he's going to get a ton of ownership. So I think Joe Burrow doubles I always love for tournaments, especially if they're going to be a little bit lower owned than they should be. Obviously, very, very easy to double stack. Very, very easily to double stack. And I would even include Joe Mixon in my doubles. And it's extremely easy to bring him back with on Cleveland. You know, you have Amari, etc. If you want to go with like a game script option where like maybe Cleveland gets late early and go with like a Nick Chubb, you can do that as well. So first stack there that I like quite a bit is going to be the Bengals, and then we'll just go by order of games. And I'm not going to talk too much about these because this video would just be too long. So we mentioned Sam Howell's possibly a cash game play. I think he's firmly in play for tournaments as well. Make sure if you are playing these guys, you are double stacking them, bringing them back, etc. I'm giving you my favorite double and bring back from each side of these games as well. So my stacking options with Howell is going to be McLaurin, Dotson. Always include tight ends. Um, Curtis Samuel. I think by far my favorite double stack with this is going to be McLaurin, Dotson, and then my favorite bring back on Arizona is going to be Rondale Moore at $4,200. Going over, what was the total on that game? I'll try and give you guys totals. Yeah, shit total, but it's fine. Going over to the next stack, Baltimore. Another not so great total. But where is Baltimore? Am I blind, man? 43.5. So, like I said, I think Lamar Jackson is always in consideration in cash, but I always love him in tournaments. I just always love him in tournaments. Just do the attempts. I think he's gonna have a great year. And like I said, I always, even if they're running, if they have a ton of rushing upside, I still double stack these guys. And I think obviously the best double stack for Lamar Jackson is going to be this, but I'm pretty high on Zay Flowers this year. And I know he's been getting a lot of praise over the past few days, but I think it's for good reason. Another value play that you can use on this slate that I think is very, very solid. So I do like that. And then my favorite bring back is clearly going to be Nico Collins for me for that stack. Next stack that we have to talk about, who I think, probably be somewhat popular, is Jacksonville at the Colts. Over-unders at 46. Trevor Lawrence doubles I absolutely love. Ridley, Kirk, could even do Zay Jones, Evan Ingram. I think my favorite's probably going to be Ridley and Kirk. Now, Kirk's obviously going to lose some usage with Ridley now on this team. But I still think very, very easy to double stack. Decently high over under. I think, like I said, with the quarterbacks that we mentioned, that I think will get more ownership with him. I always love Trevor Lawrence doubles. Then my favorite bring back option on this team is going to be Michael Pittman. If you want to use a Deion Jackson or Hole for value, I think you could, pending the status of Zach Moss. If he's out, that will open up some even more value in guys like Deion Jackson, Evan Hole, and then we just have to monitor what the split or potential workload will be for these guys, both involved in the passing game as well. So that's something we have to keep an eye on as well for that game. Can't make a video without going over Kirk Cousins doubles. Absolutely cannot. Always love Kirk doubles. I hate playing Kirk though. I really do. What is the total on this game? 46. I mean, it's fine. I'll try to rank these stacks at the end. Then my favorite bring back is probably going to be Godwin. Point per dollar. You can definitely use guys like Rashad White, who I think is a good value. Mike Evans. So yeah, another stack that I'm definitely interested in. And then Philadelphia, my favorite team, obviously. I'm still going to double stack Jalen Hurts. Not going to include the running backs. Going to include these guys. Going to include Dallas Goedert. I'm not making 150 lineups. So this will probably be the group that I'm personally considering. My favorite It's going to be expensive, but you can definitely make it work still with these price points. Going to be very, very different because I don't think a lot of people are going to do this with their price points. So I think a pretty sharp way to go about this. I don't think people have the money to do this, even though there's a lot of value. I think people will be what's the word I'm looking for? Not inclined to do this because the amount of salary that it takes. And then my favorite bring back is going to be Juju. Or if you want to go, just monitor the news with Ramondre. Looks like he is good to go though. Just an illness, but he should be ready. Go with like a Ramondre. I think that's perfectly fine. Next one we'll talk about, and I'm only going to mention them because this is where some value is. And like we have P. Ryan, who's good value. We have Sutton, who I think looks phenomenal. We have Marvin Mims, who I think looks as like one of the best punts on the slate. Um, you have Dolchitz. So there's a lot of chalk here. I thought I'd mention it just because there's a lot of chalk with this stack. Then my favorite bring back is either going to be Josh Jacobs or Devontae Adams. Going down the line, probably going to be the one of, if not the most popular stack on the slate, and probably my favorite stack on the slate. And I mean, for good reason. Total on this game is, I believe, highest total on the slate at 51. I'm going to include Austin Eckler with Justin Herbert lineups. Just super involved in the passing game. Also going to include Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Gerald Everett, who I think is going to have a fantastic year under, I believe, Moore, right? So very easy to double stack. My favorite probably of this group is going to be this. And then my favorite bring back is clearly going to be Tyreek Hill, who will be popular, or Mostert. And the last stack that I like, you guys always know I like Geno doubles. Just very easy to, like, I never get DK or Tyler Lockett right, ever. So I just plug in both. You can consider, definitely can include JSN. He is playing. I believe people thought he was going to be out. He is playing. So that's what I would include. And then Rams, it's so easy to bring it back. Tutu Atwell. Van Jefferson, who's probably going to get a lot more work with Cup out, Higbee, etc. So, yeah, and I forgot to include where is never mind. I think we went over it all. So those are my favorite stacks. If I had to rank them, I think for me, my favorite is definitely going to be the Chargers game. And then after that, it's hard to rank. Probably the Cincinnati game. And then Jalen Hurts doubles. And then anything after that, you can just mix and match. But definitely my favorite, Miami, Chargers, Chargers, Bengals, Eagles, and then you can mix and match after that. All right. News that we have to go over, or let's go over some value, I guess. Run over the cash value, right? All right, so let's just click team by team and just go over some value that's available. I don't really like much for Cincinnati. Going over to the Browns, I think Elijah Moore is a value play that you can use. Going over to the Cardinals, I think Rondell Moore. Going over to the Commanders, obviously went over Hal. I think you can use Curtis. Dotson at 5K is cheap. Going over to the Titans, not much. Going over to the Saints, obviously Jamal Williams. Outside of that, nothing. Going over to Houston, I think Nico Collins is a solid value. Going over to Baltimore, Zay Flowers we talked about that I like quite a bit. San Francisco, I don't think there's anything. Actually, at the monitor the news with George Kittle, that could open up more for Deebo Samuel. I think a 5-5 is too cheap. Who I like quite a bit. Pittsburgh, not much. Going over to Jacksonville, we have some value here. I think Zay Jones is solid. Evan Ingram at 4-7, like quite a bit. On the Colts side, we have to monitor the news with Zach Moss. Could be Deion Jackson. Evan Hull could open up. And then you have Alec Pierce at 3-8, who I think is in play. Geez, there's so much. So much on Tampa Bay. Rashad White. Trey Palmer. Just an absolute disgusting amount of value who I think is in play. These are all guys you can use if you need salary relief. So I'm trying to do my best to go over it for you guys. I'm not going to play any of these Carolina running backs. Got to keep it out the news on Adam Thielen. You have Mingo, Marshall. On Atlanta, I don't think there's personally much for me. Eagles, nothing. I know that for a fact. Patriots, Juju at 4-8. Running back, there's nothing. On the Raiders, don't think there's anything. On Denver, obviously, you have Sutton, you have Marvin Mims, you have Samaje Perine. A lot of value on Denver. On Miami, you have Mostert at 5-4. Just so much value. On Green Bay, you have Jaden Reed. You have their tight end Musgrave, who I think is going to play an absolute boatload of snaps. Who's a good tight end play at 2-9. Crazy. Chicago, there is probably nothing. On the Rams, you have Tutu Atwell, you have Van Jefferson, you have Higbee, more value. And then on Seattle, you have JSN, who I think is fine. And I think that's it. So those are the value plays. Just went team by team. It was pretty easy. There's a lot. All right. Is that it? Is that all I want to do? Running back plays, I just like the cash game running back plays. Like, I like Eckler. I think an interesting play is Robinson for Atlanta. They're going to run the ball an absolute boatload in Atlanta. Where is Atlanta? They're going to run an absolute ton. I don't think anyone's going to play him at this price point. So I like Bijan Robinson a ton. They invested a ton in him. Like him a ton for tournaments. Just for tournaments. Jacobs, I think, is always solid. Already whenever mix in, phenomenal play. Madison, I always like, especially when obviously there's no Cook. So in play, I think might go a little bit overowned. Aaron Jones, I like with the Green Bay situation. Kem Walker, I always like for tournaments. I feel like he's underowned every time. Not involved in the passing game, but true bell cow. He does have to break off like a long run or get a touchdown on the ground to kind of win you a tournament. But I always like him for tournaments because he has that huge ceiling, big play upside. I don't like the Panthers running backs. Rashad White, we talked we like. Mostert, we talked we like. So yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I think this video was a little bit too long. I'm going to try and change up the format for next week. So maybe we'll just go game by game next week, and I'll talk about cash plays that way. But I hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys later.